Welcome to Pajama Day, or Monday in my house. This video is an addendum to one that I posted about 8 or 9 months ago regarding stepping forward from Downdog. It's proven to be pretty helpful to a lot of people, but I'd like to throw in a few more ideas for you in order to really take advantage of your natural anatomy when it comes to this pretty tricky transition. So you can look at the other video if you want. Totally welcome to do so. If you do go to the other video, it's a bit longer than this one is, and it's going to take some more explanations into account. I'm going to try to be a little bit shorter here, so if you want to get a little bit more into the detail, maybe you go back there. Anyways, on to the mat we go. Hopefully you're already warmed up. So there's a couple of things to consider here when you're doing weight bearing. So something I figured out a while ago without really knowing what I was doing and why I was doing it was that my hands needed to go wider when I was in weight bearing, and this includes down dog as well. So if you look at your arms at rest, not pinning your arms to you, but your arms at rest, if you notice that the fingers, forearms, start to curve away from you at the elbow, there's a name for that. It's called a carrying angle. I'll show you a little bit different. Now it's kind of funny how I got like one arm that goes out more. That's my right shoulder, which is actually has been injured a few times. My left arm goes out less. So when you do this and you find your arms at rest, turn your palms and bring them forward and see where a better potential spot for your hands in weight bearing might be. Sometimes they don't even fit on the yoga mat, which is fine. And then for a lot of people, a little bit of rotation externally to allow the hands to go out a bit more can be really helpful. My hands look huge right now. This is weird. Okay, so I'm going to utilize that first, and I'm going to utilize that width in the hand position to also guide the direction my feet will be going. Okay, so from here, we're going to take a few cat-cows just to warm up. So as you inhale and exhale, the idea of the inhale gently allowing the tailbone to wag back and the belly to fill up. And you get a lot of curves in your spine naturally when you inhale. You also, if you were lying on the floor flat and not trying to do these motions, you would feel that your body naturally does have a little tip back to the tailbone on the inhale. On the exhale, what naturally happens is muscles kind of hug back to the spine. You have some fascia that pulls the lumbar up and the thoracic up, and the diaphragm, of course, aids with that. But what we'll do today is we'll help it a little bit. So as you exhale, you'll draw the pelvic floor, low belly muscles back towards the front of the spine and continue that ripple up through the lower rib cage. And for the purposes of this move, we'll concave the chest a little bit. And then as you inhale, we'll settle back. And then as you exhale, it's a hugging and a lifting. Notice it's not this. It's not pressing the lumbar spine back. It's just finding enough activation to create a length and to create some support for you. And then we're going to continue it up to the chest. This time I'm not going to super round the upper spine. I'm just going to stay relatively neutral for that. Good. So we're going to use that same motion, that exhale, as soon as it comes up towards the mid-spine, lifting the knees and coming to down dog. So from here, we'll bend the knees, and we're going to bend the elbows. This is part of the trick. If you keep the arms straight the whole time, you have very little access to what's going on in the chest and the armpit region and the upper abs. So you really want to be able to bend, almost like you're a four-pointed seaweed stuck in the water, and you're just sort of forced to go along with the waves and the tide at the bottom of the sea, really. That's what you're going along with. And then as you inhale here and the elbows bend, tail's high as I'm wagging it. And then as you exhale, you lift the belly and then kind of tuck the low ribs in. You can lift to the right leg, shift the weight slightly forward, but then swing the shin out. This is all core strength, by the way, to the outside of the mat. Then I turn the heel in to touch the mat. From here, there's an inhale, maybe. And then as you exhale, the back leg bends, and you take that cat pose in the belly, in the mid-spine, and you come up. Okay, let's go over that. Ready? We'll take it in reverse, because you do have to do this too, right? So notice my hands are pretty wide. I've got the hands turned out. It allows the arms to hug in a little bit more, and then as you exhale, try to go in reverse. Hug and lift. Lift the leg. Try not to scrape it back. If you have to, you have to. No big deal. And then from here, inhale, bend. And then as you exhale, the ripple comes from the pelvic floor all the way up through the breathing diaphragm. Lift the leg. See my hips stay high. And then I'm able to step out. My heel is on the mat, my toes are not. Inhale. And then as you exhale, find the hugging in. Slow roll. Inhale. Ta-da! Okay. So stepping out can be really useful. And in fact, having that slight turnout, as we did before, both of the toes out slightly and the heels in, can be a little more advantageous to the cartilage in the front of your hip. I have found that doing this has taken away all the clicking and popping in my hip pretty much entirely. I'm a clicky poppy person anyways, so let's take it to the left again. But in general, it was happening almost every day with every bit of yoga I did, taking it in and back. So if you want to, you can take it backwards. This can be a great way to build strength by doing the motion in reverse. Okay, so if you can squat like this is all you need. Your hips are higher than your shoulders. You press down into the ground. You feel a little bend of the elbows back towards your shins. You sort of grip the mat and floor with your finger pads. And then as you exhale, you try to draw the belly away from the legs and you step back slowly. Okay, with control. Just do your best. And then from here, you could come up. Inhale, bending, pressing your hands in, but also sliding the back. Exhale through the belly, stepping back with some control, perhaps. Inhale, and then coming up. I feel a lot in my belly and not so much in my legs. Okay? So then the other way to do this, of course, in the meanwhile, while you're building the strength, is to make your arms longer. This is how T-Rex steps forward, among other things. And you can make your blocks any height. I'm getting this terrible reflection from the neighbor's house. This happens like 2 months out of the year where it reflects on the window, the sun. But without that window open, this is going to be a really dark performance. Let's move up. Woo! Okay. So from here, of course, you can do the same thing. I still would like to encourage you to use, you see how the body generally wants to move by bending and curving and spiraling rather than by being straight and linear and parallel all the time. And then something that I'd like to address before I stop the video is the idea that you're stepping forward. And so the cues that force you to have a level pelvis are not helping you. When you walk, your pelvis is not level. As soon as you flex at the hip, that pelvic half wants to lift up. They call it an upslip. And it wants to tilt forward. Right? The sit bone wants to tilt forward a little bit towards the direction of the foot. That's normal. That's natural. So if you watch my hips, I'll do this with the block just for fun. And if you're told, we'll do this with a leg lift first. A little momentum, I call it a dive bomb or nose dive. And then lift and step. Yeah, guess what? That pelvic half's going to go up. It's pretty natural. If you took your walking stance and you tried to do it without moving the hips up and down as you brought your feet forward and back, you wouldn't be able to walk. You would be part of the ministry of silly walks, probably, which might not be a bad thing. Good. So I hope that's helped you a bit. Please feel free to leave a comment if you need clarification for anything. And if there's any other yoga conundrum that you're experiencing, I would love to break it down and try to put it into some more biomechanically advantageous movements for you.